Imagine this, you're driving peacefully, then a faint smell creeps in. It's not just bad, it's a dire warning. Mechanics agree, ignoring this could turn a simple drive into a roadside nightmare. Find out what this odor is, why it's so dangerous, and what you need to do to avoid disaster. Before we move on, I would like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Have you ever been driving along and suddenly caught a sharp sulfur-like smell, something that oddly resembles rotten eggs? At first, you might think it's coming from outside, maybe something you just drove past, but then as the odor sticks around, it becomes clear. Your car itself might be the culprit. If this happens, that smell could be sending a critical warning about your catalytic converter. Not the most talked about part of your vehicle, but one of the most essential. So what's causing this unpleasant stench? That rotten egg odor comes from hydrogen sulfide, a byproduct of your engine's combustion process. Normally, your catalytic converter neutralizes this compound, turning it into odorless gases before they leave the exhaust system. But when the converter starts to fail, it doesn't perform as it should. The result? That unmistakable sulfur smell escaping from your vehicle. And while the smell itself might only be mildly irritating, the underlying issue is anything but. Here's where it gets serious. Your catalytic converter largely depends on the right air-to-fuel balance coming from the engine. If that balance is thrown off, say from a faulty sensor or problems with how fuel is burning, unburned fuel can make its way into the converter. Over time, this excess fuel can clog the converter, turning it from a critical component into a blockage. And once it's clogged, you're looking at a much bigger issue than just a smell. Imagine your car losing power, shaking uncontrollably, and eventually grinding to a complete stop. Being stranded by the side of the road is a frustrating inconvenience, but in this case, it's also avoidable. Even worse, delaying action when the smell first appears can lead to skyrocketing expenses. A clogged or damaged catalytic converter often means replacement is unavoidable, something that could cost you anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000, depending on your vehicle's make and model. That's not including labor costs or the potential ripple effect on other parts, like your exhaust system. And here's the kicker. By the time you notice performance issues, the damage may already be done. For many drivers, catching the sulfurous smell early is one of the last chances to save their converter from permanent failure. Beyond the financial blow, there's also the environmental impact to consider. A healthy catalytic converter doesn't just protect your car, it reduces harmful emissions and helps your vehicle meet environmental standards. A malfunctioning converter, however, does the exact opposite. Excess pollutants begin spilling into the air, contributing to smog and worsening your vehicle's carbon footprint. In some areas with strict emissions testing, a faulty converter could even prevent you from legally driving your car until it's repaired or replaced. But the good news? That smell is essentially your car waving a red flag, giving you a chance to address the problem before it spirals out of control. If you catch the odor and act quickly, a professional mechanic can diagnose the issue and potentially save your catalytic converter. It could just be a matter of adjusting the air-fuel mixture, replacing a bad spark plug, or fixing a loose oxygen sensor. Simple repairs that cost significantly less than replacing the converter outright. The key is not waiting until your car's performance begins to suffer. The rotten egg smell is like an early warning that lets you intervene before you're stuck with a massive repair bill. And here's another point worth thinking about. This issue doesn't just harm your vehicle or your wallet, it can also ruin your day. Picture yourself stuck on the highway, engine sputtering, and that smell of sulfur now combining with the stress of being stranded. It's an experience nobody wants. That's why pulling over and addressing the problem as soon as the odor presents itself isn't just good advice, it's essential. But what if that smell isn't sulfur at all? What if it's something far more immediately dangerous? Rotten eggs might mean serious trouble down the road, but there's another smell that signals an even more urgent threat, a smell that no car owner should ever ignore. Let's talk about it. Most people know the smell of gasoline. It's hard to miss, but if that smell hits you while you're driving, it's no ordinary nuisance. That faint trace of fuel vapor isn't just unpleasant, it's a red flag waving at full intensity. What you're likely dealing with is a fuel leak, and that makes this one of the most dangerous smells your car could produce. Why? Because gasoline isn't just flammable, it's aggressively so. And when it leaks, the risks multiply in ways you don't want to imagine. Here's how it happens. Your car's fuel system is designed to be entirely sealed, keeping gasoline safely contained from the tank all the way to the engine. If you smell gas, it means that safety barrier has been breached. It might be as simple as a loose gas cap, which can sometimes allow fumes to escape, but more often it's something far more severe, like a cracked fuel line or a malfunctioning part in your evaporative emissions system. And while it's easy to dismiss the smell as something external or temporary, ignoring gasoline fumes could lead to catastrophic consequences, both for your car and for your safety. To truly understand why this is so serious, think about where the leaked gasoline is going. If fuel vapors or liquid gasoline come into contact with the engine's hot metal surfaces or the exhaust system, you're creating the perfect conditions for ignition. Add a stray spark or any heat source into the equation, and a fuel leak can transform into a vehicle fire in seconds. There are countless documented incidents of cars catching fire on the side of the road after drivers ignored the warning sign of a gas smell. Some resulted in drivers barely having enough time to pull over and evacuate. It's that fast and that dangerous. There's also a financial angle you don't want to overlook. Fuel leaks don't just pose safety risks, they're also an expensive problem to ignore. A small, unresolved leak can escalate into major damage to your car's fuel system or engine components. And if a fire does occur, the cost of repairs or even replacing the vehicle entirely skyrockets. What might have been resolved with a quick check and a minor repair can ultimately cost thousands of dollars. On top of that, letting a fuel system issue linger usually means spending more money on wasted gas as it leaks out instead of powering your engine. Over time, that's another hit to your wallet you might not expect. So what should you do if the smell of gasoline reaches your nose while driving? Fortunately, the solution is straightforward. First, don't second guess yourself. If you smell fuel, assume it's a problem. Immediately pull over to a safe location, away from traffic and any potential hazards. Turn off the engine to cut the chance of heat or sparks worsening the issue, and avoid restarting the car until it's been inspected by a professional. Opening the windows can help ventilate the fumes, but that's only a temporary measure. The key step is to call a professional mechanic or roadside assistance. They can identify the problem's source and recommend repairs before it progresses into something unmanageable or life-threatening. Gasoline smells aren't just another quirk of car ownership. They demand immediate respect and action. It's a safety issue, first and foremost, but it's also an avoidable one if you act at the first sign. Remember, of all the warning signs your car gives you, this one carries perhaps the most severe consequences if ignored. Flames, explosions, and emergency situations. Those are outcomes no driver wants to face. While other automotive smells point to mechanical issues you can address over time, the smell of gas means one thing: stop now, act now. But gasoline isn't the last word when it comes to critical smells. There's another odor, one that's subtle, harder to detect, and just as dangerous if left unchecked. This one often goes unnoticed until the damage is already done. Let's talk about it next. Car smells aren't just passing irritations, they're your vehicle's early warning system, alerting you to dangerous problems before they escalate. From the rotten egg scent signaling catalytic converter trouble to the unmistakable smell of gasoline highlighting a fuel leak, these odors can literally save lives when caught in time. Jill Trotta puts it plainly: car smells are a clear indicator that something wrong, so you never want to ignore a strange smell when you're driving. Staying alert to these signs empowers you to act fast, avoid costly repairs, and stay safe on the road. A little attention can prevent a massive disaster.